Hello and welcome back to Fujitsu Forum TV, where you join us for our 27th live interview. Over the past 2 days, 27 live interviews, 3 live keynotes, a whole host of insights. We've been committed to surfacing the big challenges in industry and society, and more importantly, what the solutions are to those very issues. Right now, there is no issue greater than security in industry. If you're a chief executive officer, spare us 10 minutes. This is a not to be missed interview. Let me just highlight the importance of it. We're joined by John Swanson, who's the head of security offerings here at Fujitsu. We're going to put some graphics up on screen, John, because there's some pretty poignant stats right now. Over the next 2 years, 20 billion IoT devices will be connected worldwide. 80% of enterprise workloads could be run in the cloud. Here's the kicker: cybercrime, $600 billion per year already. That number's just going to go up over the next 2 years, isn't it?
I think you're absolutely right. The number will go up, and also because of the way the industry is evolving, digital transformation, all of this multi-cloud piece is actually potentially increasing the attack surface, but we do try not to talk in terms of fear, uncertainty and doubt, because there are opportunities for security as well as challenges.
And it's an important message, because we don't want to shock people with those numbers, but this is more of a wake-up call to the importance of it. Do you think the CEOs are aware of the vulnerabilities?
So I think there's a greater awareness across the industry, and this has been witnessed by the investment in security, the creation of senior security roles within organisations, the increased proximity of those chief information security officers to the board. So there's a recognition, but there are some fundamental challenges because of the speed in which organisations are having to transform their digital ecosystems to serve their customers better, to differentiate in the market. So the answer is yes, but also security, underpinning security across all of this evolution of digital is a complex thing to manage.
Everything that we've been hearing within the keynotes and interviews, co-creation for success, the alignment of technology and business leaders working on common goals. Do you think technologists and the boardroom are aligned in unison on the security challenge?
So that's a great question. So it depends on the organisation. So I think sometimes for security, technology is seen as the answer. And it's really important to understand that technology is part of the solution. So technology needs to be mixed with people. So you've got to have the right security culture, and that's from the board down to the user. You've got to have the right processes, policies and structures in place that enable the business to do what they need to achieve. Security can't really be seen to stop innovation. It needs to be able to underpin that. So I think those are the key messages that we're trying to drive.
I think we talk profitability an awful lot when it comes to security, but there's opportunity as well. How do we use security to drive greater trust?
So trust is an absolute foundation when you're doing any sort of business with any other organisation. So it's about really demonstrating that you're able to provide confidentiality and integrity of the data that you share with the partner organisation or the business you're doing business with. And also you've got to be able to have some assurance that the service you're providing is available. All of those 3 factors together, which are traditional factors, haven't really changed, but they're just, because of the way we're transacting, the devices you spoke about, the mobility, the various means of getting at data, it just makes it harder to manage it across the piece.
We're amidst an age where we want access to everything all the time, anywhere, anytime, any device. I mean, we've all come to Munich for Fujitsu Forum. We're all checking everything, accessing our applications, aren't we? How much of a challenge is that to businesses in maintaining security?
I think that just reinforces my last kind of comment. So one of the fundamental questions is, do you know where your data is? So the challenge of technology is people try and overlay technology onto an environment where they have no processes, they have no educated people, they've got the wrong type of security culture. That's not really going to address the problem. So it's just a balance of all those factors that make it important.
So obviously implementing cybersecurity measures is going to be top of the agenda. We've been hearing an awful lot around digital transformation and an expediting innovation coming in. That's got to make that challenge even harder, isn't it? To maintain those processes, evolve the processes, keep the business secure?
So it does and it doesn't. So again, we always try and look for opportunity within security. So in terms of the distribution, absolutely. But as long as you've got good security principles in place, you've got educated workers, you've got skilled people to be able to manage and orchestrate that data, there is actually potentially the opportunity to manage it better. So with the right processes and the right approach to security, it can actually be better. So understanding where your data is, putting the right controls on it, making sure, for example, that only trusted sources can get at that data, they're the key elements. Principles are the same. They're just a little bit more federated. So to say, with the right principles and the right approach and aligning that to the business, it's a manageable risk, absolutely.
So I'm doing my best here to sort of highlight some of the pitfalls. You're brilliantly saying, look, it doesn't need to be an issue. We've got this covered. If there's a CEO watching this who's thinking, okay, I probably haven't done a few things of what John's talking about here, how important is it that they're aligning themselves with everything you're talking about? How quickly should they be addressing this in the boardroom next week?
So it's a here and now discussion. So security has and always should be part of a board discussion, because maintaining that trust with the customers that you work with the partners, is absolutely fundamental to the future success of any organisation, I suggest. The important things are getting the fundamentals right. I think people sometimes jump to a very shiny answer, and actually you've got to get the fundamentals right. And those still remain the key engineering things you've got to do. You've got to make sure your systems are updated, make sure you know what's connected to your platforms, and then you've got to educate your user base. There is a concern in the industry that people think security is the chief information security officer's problem in an organisation. It absolutely isn't. Security is a responsibility of everybody on the board, because they've got to really fund and be the flagship bearers for security, all the way to the users. And it's about much more than security awareness. It's about security understanding, making sure that people understand security, they're consciously competent, and they do the right things when they need to.
If you had, there's a lot of CEOs watching this who will absolutely have had their interest piqued. If you had one message for them, given everything you've said, what would it be?
So I think it's to treat security as a core pillar of your business. There is no single answer to security. There is no silver bullet to any of this. It's absolutely a strategic investment program, and it's going to take time, but you can mature your business with the right focus, the right approach, the right leadership, and the right sponsorship from the board down. It's got to be an example from the top. And again, people. Make sure you educate your people, get them to understand the risks that are about them, and that will be one of the most important factors to assure your security.
John, thank you very much for your time. I dare say this one is going to get an awful lot of attention. The keynote yesterday with President Tanaka and Duncan Tate, innovation, technology, creativity, whatever it is, people are at the heart of it. The human-centric approach. Security is no different. Back in the 1970s, we had the $6 million man. Have we just delivered the $600 billion interview? Well, at the very least, we've helped you realise that this is a very apparent issue that you should be discussing next week. You could be doing everything right. Your team could have it all covered. But as a CEO, it's your job to go and take a look and make sure that you don't become one of the growing statistics around cybercrime. That's the final live interview of Fujitsu Forum 2018. It's been a phenomenal 2.5 days from Media Day. Day 1 yesterday, day 2 today. We've brought you 27 live interviews, 3 live keynotes. All that's left is our wrap-up. If you've missed any of the content today, stick around. In a few minutes' time, we'll be back. And we're going to walk you through all the interviews from today and point you in a direction of some of the content you may have missed. It's all available on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube within the Fujitsu Forum 2018 files. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. Thanks for watching.